What's up, everybody? You're listening to the I Believe in Humans podcast with Justin and Dustin. I'm Justin. He's Dustin. Wow.
Howdy.
Those are some pretty popular names back in the mid-'80s, huh? Our moms must have been on the same wavelength.
Guess so, man, right?
Your mom was a little more creative, swapping the J for a D there. It's a lot better than me. My dad wanted to name me Summer Dawn if I was a girl.
My dad wanted to name me Seven after Mickey Mantle. Like, that would have been pretty sweet, but
wow.
I'm happy with Dustin. I'm happy with D.
He was ahead of his time.
Kind of nicknames.
Was he a Stranger Things fan?
No, he was just a Mickey Mantle fan, so he was a Giants fan his whole life, so I have no idea.
All right. Well, there you have it. I don't know what Mickey Mantle was a Yankee, by the way.
I know he was a Yankee. That's what I'm saying. He's just a Mickey Mantle fan.
I don't know why the Giants
Who didn't like the Mick, dude?
That's all good, man. So anyway, other than our awkward names as alternative names as kids, we are here to talk about all things space, right? We want to help make space cool again, Dustin, right? So on this show, we'll be covering everything from SpaceX becoming the first private rocket company to put humans in outer space to the awe-inspiring and jaw-dropping admission by the United States military and Department of Defense that UFOs, or UAPs as they've rebranded them, are real. And not only that, they've released 3 videos that prove it. So is this the story of the millennium? Are we the generation that will bear witness to full disclosure by the government that extraterrestrial life and technology is real? Mm-hmm. I don't know, but we will find out, right? But first, let's introduce the squad, okay? So here's my co-host. He's the director and producer and full-time brochacho, Mr. Dustin Brandt. Higher. Dustin, who are you and why should we care?
Well, I mean, I'm just a regular dude, a father, independent filmmaker, self-proclaimed nerd. I'm not an astrophysicist or investigative journalist, so please don't take anything I say as gospel, as I will be occasionally inviting you all to join me down the rabbit hole throughout this podcast. I've always had an interest in the paranormal, the unexplained, UFOs, or as JT said, everyone likes to call them UAPs now, which means unidentified aerial phenomena if you're living under a moon rock. My friends always kind of made fun of me believing in these things, and honestly, they still do. I think, JT, you probably made fun of me back in the day, back in high school as well.
I've definitely made fun of you for a lot of things, yeah.
Yes. But the thing is, the evidence is finally starting to outweigh the crazy notion that these things are real. I just want to be that voice to help people understand what's going on with this and be that ear to listen when no one else will. It's okay to believe. You're not alone. And in my opinion, we're not alone on this planet. This podcast really came to life through several phone calls between JT and I during the coronavirus quarantine. Not only did I binge watch shows like Ancient Aliens and Unidentified, but in the middle of all this chaos of 2020, our government have officially admitted to these programs that study and document the UAP phenomena and declassified videos as evidence. That's a really fucking big deal, and I've noticed that most of my friends had no clue that it happened. This stuff is pretty wild, and I think we should be asking some more questions. JT, I don't think I've ever asked you this before, actually. Have you ever had like an unexplained experience or a UFO sighting? What attracts you to this topic?
You know, that's a good question. To be honest, Dustin, the closest encounter that I've ever had was in 1996. I believe it was the 4th of July, otherwise known as Independence Day. And I came this close to an alien, but Will Smith jumped in and saved me, and he punched it in the face when it was trying to exit its spacecraft.
Welcome to Earth.
The other thing I would say, like, sort of what influenced me and got me interested in anything sort of extraterrestrial, paranormal, or whatever would be, do you remember TGIF, right? And it was like family-friendly shows earlier in the evening, and it was like Step by Step, Full House, Family Matters, right? Mm-hmm. I would beg my mom to let me stay up past 9 o'clock. I think it was like 9 or 10. You would switch over to the Fox network, and it was way more, it was like mysterious. They had this show called The X-Files, right?
I even want to say The X-Files is 11 p.m. She lets you really beg to get on that, to stay up a little bit later then.
I was pushing the envelope. I was a pesky little bugger, okay? But I would beg her to let me stay up and watch, Mulder and Scully track down like this week's weird event. and it would terrify me, and I would never be able to sleep. For me, I've always just been influenced by pop culture, but I also come from a military family, just very sort of straight edge military government people. But they were always into like engineering, chemistry, space, right? Anything to do with the military has interested me over time. I had friends that were in the military. They worked at Vandenberg Air Force Base, which for people who know, Vandenberg, it's in California. It's where the private and public sector sort of cross-pollinate. They build a lot of rockets and space stuff there at Vandenberg Air Force Base. And also, the closest I got to the industry, Dustin, is I don't remember if I ever told you this, but when I first moved out of our hometown after we graduated high school, went to college, my very first roommate down there offered me a job one day. He comes home, he says, "Hey, my uncle's like fabricating metal or something for this like startup. It's they're working on rockets, right?" This is Adam. Do you remember Adam?
Oh, I do remember Adam. Yeah, he was a good dude. He played. Did he play for Long Beach State basketball team?
So yeah, he played basketball in Long Beach. But so what's up, Adam, if you're listening? But anyway, he offers me the job, and at the time I'm like bartending or working at a gym or something like that, and I was like, oh God, a real job? No way. Well, now I'm kicking myself later because that little startup ended up being SpaceX, right? And we all know who SpaceX is. So anyway, this close, buddy, this close.
Yeah, I'd be sweeping the floors there if I had a chance.
Yeah, whatever, man. So I've always been sort of super impressed by the private space race since then. And to be honest, the new develops with all people, Tom DeLonge, right? Remember from Blink-182?
I love Blink.
Somehow he has emerged as like the rising voice of reason, and he's pushing for disclosure via his To the Stars Academy, right? The other thing that sort of wrote me in is Neil deGrasse Tyson and his Star Talk podcast. I'm a huge fan, but he's been sort of like, after this, he's making science fun and bringing it more into the mainstream, right? So I think with this podcast, what I was hoping to do is by jumping on this trend, right, that somehow we can sort of assist and help in destigmatizing and demystifying the topics and mysteries of space, UFOs, and possible aliens. That maybe we can help change or sway the public sentiment. So like you were saying earlier, Dustin, that will allow more people to come forward, right, without facing ridicule, right? Yeah. We've already seen it in Unidentified on the History Channel, right? They're primarily seeking out military and intelligence people because those are what they consider trained observers. So we're starting to see like these more credible people. This isn't tinfoil hat type of stuff, right? And to be honest, I think that instead of us just remaining on the sidelines, hoping that something extraordinary will happen, that maybe, just maybe, we can be the generation of disclosure by making the truth bubble to the surface and forcing the issue with these powers that be, right? I mean, rather than just sitting around with our fingers crossed hoping that they have a strategy to share, let's be honest, Roswell happened 73 years ago, right?
Yeah,
we landed on the moon 51 years ago, allegedly, right? I think it's time that we know the truth, and I think it's time that this subject returns into the mainstream public consciousness, and I think it's time that we prepare ourselves to take the next big leap in human evolution, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree.
I almost forgot. Before we get too far, before I get on, I get on my soapbox too much here, I forgot to introduce our senior-most producer and engineer, Tomas Carrillo. What's up, Tomas?
What up, Tomas?
What's up, fam? It's lit.
All right, then.
Damn right it is.
All right. So anyway, guys, if you stay tuned this season, here's a little sneak peek of what's to come. We're looking to cover topics as far as SpaceX, Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic.
Everything that's happened over there at To the Stars Academy, Bob Lazar's story, Men in Black.
Planetary sciences, the Wilson notes. We'll take a deeper look into the USS Nimitz incident.
The abduction phenomenon, historical UFO sightings, the Skinwalker Ranch.
And much, much more where that came from. We'll also look to keep you updated for any and all current space news.
And I'll be tracking all the latest developments and calls for disclosure now. It's okay to believe.
So check out the website at IBelieveInHumansPodcast.com. Find us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Yeah, and follow us on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe.
Enjoy the show, and remember, kids, somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known.